Well, here I am at it again. I'm going to jump on Reddit, kind of on a Reddit streak here, where I'm going through and looking at some of the most popular topics that people are discussing when it comes to trying to find a Medicare plan or their frustrations on their current Medicare plan after they've experienced a plan loss with Medicare Advantage or a Medigap rate increase. So today I'm highlighting an individual conversation that started around an 18% rate increase on a United Healthcare AARP Medicare Supplement Plan G. I want to talk about some of the comments and show you how the current state of rate increases is not just isolated to one area of the country. It's happening everywhere. So I'm going to pull up and show you some of these different increases, and then I'm going to give you some advice of what you can do with this. How can you combat these rate increases and recommendations of alternate plans that would drive down the monthly premium and hopefully stay there? So let's jump right in and take a look at this one. This is a user in the state of Florida. It says, I'm posting since many here are asking about history of premium increases from various providers. This is the second year in a row of this level of increase. I've already been in touch with our broker and plan on starting the process to change providers and review once again the high deductible Plan G since our usage has been lower than expected. This sounds like it says this is the second year in a row and they're posting since many here have asked. So basically this individual is a part of this Medicare community and they've gotten on the plan and they've been coming back to report how their experience has been and or what rate increases they've experienced. So as you can imagine, there's over 96 comments on this, quite a few different people, and I'll just run through them quickly here. One individual says, I'm up here in Washington, we're seeing 18 to 22% increases this year. And honestly, I think it's going to push a lot of people off Plan G and into other options like high deductible G or Plan N. I'm in Texas, says another user, and my Plan G just jumped 33%. Now I'm trying to figure out if I should stay where I'm at or start looking at other companies. Comment says, my wife and I are both in Florida on Plan G. Mine is going up 22.5% and hers is going up 15%. Same plan, same companies. Now we're wondering if we should start shopping around. We're also in Florida and we just got a notification of our premiums are going up to 15% for myself, 20% for my husband. And at this point, we're seriously thinking what plan should we even be on. I'm in New Hampshire, ours is going up 11%. This is my first increase, so now I'm starting to wonder what it's going to look like long term. I'm in Texas, my Plan N went up 19% already, and it's still early on. Makes me question if you should switch sooner rather than later. Another post here says, or another comment says, last year in Florida, we saw 11% increase. Now it's jumping even higher again. It just keeps stacking year over year. Another one here says, I'm in South Florida, and Florida Blue pushed through a 17.5% rate increase last year. It honestly feels like this shouldn't be allowed. And last but not least, as I've seen this personally, is I'm in Illinois and my Plan N went up almost 50% in the first year from $86 to $125 per month. That kind of jump makes you feel like you need to find something else fast. So this is the message and the stories that we hear day in and day out. My name is Mark Pripp. I work with Policy Guide, and I've been helping people with Medicare understand how Medicare works and pick plans for over 15 years. 2025 has brought about a major change, not just in the Medicare supplement market, but in the health insurance market as a whole. For example, the Obamacare marketplace, that saw significant rate increases in 2025. The same with group health insurance. The Medicare Advantage plans saw a significant shift in benefits, and millions of plans were terminated due to not being profitable anymore. And then in the Medicare supplement market, we saw unprecedented premium increases, more than we've ever seen in the last 15 years. So this issue is not isolated to Medigap. One of the greatest pieces of information I can share with you and highest recommendation is when you are on Reddit, there's good information and there's overwhelming information, and then there's just flat out wrong information. In this instance, this information is most likely accurate because we're seeing it internally as well. Now, when you get on Medicare and you elect to get a Medicare supplement, or you've switched from another plan to Medicare supplement, you're going to experience rate increases. And typically what most people look at is they look at standard Plan G, they look at Plan N, and then maybe someone may have accidentally recommended or mentioned the high deductible Plan G. And if you're like most people, you didn't take it really serious. You thought, well, high deductible Plan G sounds cheaper and better, but sounds like nobody likes it. So maybe it's risky and I shouldn't deal with it. I'm just going to go on the standard Plan G or the standard Plan N. The history of Medicare supplement works like this. Previously, prior to 2025 and 24, rate increases were always right around 5 to 7%, very predictable. So the advice of looking at the company's historical rate increases back then worked. The recommendation of what does a company's rate increase history look like now before you buy it is completely meaningless, because every company has basically shattered every record that they've ever been on. So trying to find out, well, if I change companies, what's the new company's rate increase is going to be like? You will never know. This is affecting the entire industry. Unfortunately, you will not escape it. There is not one company that has figured this out. This is an industry-wide issue. There are no diamonds in the rough or silver opportunity with company A or B over whomever. What you do see is smaller, newer, unknown companies coming in trying to offer really low premiums, but then raising them significantly, or just closing the block of business permanently to new members because they came in, underpriced the plans, and now the claims are too high. Premiums go up to this amount, or they go up and then the block closes and no new members are allowed in. So I believe what's happened here is Medicare supplement has been very stable and predictable over the years. We've had a lot of inflation issues, especially in the medical world, with certain weight loss drugs or diabetes drugs driving the cost up more. That's one individual speculation. Delayed COVID claims is another. I don't know if that's true or not. The bottom line is rates are up and no one can pinpoint why, other than a lot of finger pointing. So now you have to determine, you want a Medicare supplement plan, what are you going to do about it? So I think that the structure for Medicare supplement, the benefit with the cost is very outdated. These Medicare supplement plans are what's considered first dollar coverage. A true first dollar Medicare supplement is Medicare Plan F. That means when you get on the plan, the very first dollar in claim the company pays for it. So it's first dollar coverage. Now, they changed the laws around Medicare Supplement Plan F that were enacted around 2019, 2020 that said new members that come into the Medicare system cannot enroll in that. If you're already on a Medicare supplement and you want to go to F, you can, but they closed the doors to new members. And the reason why they did that was because Medicare Supplement Plan F covers the Medicare Part B deductible. So they thought if we give that Medicare Part B deductible responsibility to the member, that member will have more cost sharing, so the premiums could be more stable and claims could settle down a little bit if we shuffle off that Part B deductible to the member and we no longer cover that. So that was a good first step. And for a few years there, the premiums were very low and stable. But now with the influx of the baby boomer market, I think that people are entering into the Medicare system and getting on Medigap, and the claim trends, they don't have a lot of experience with this much of an influx all at one time. So what I'm driving home here is, even with Plan G or Plan N, yes, you have your Part B deductible and Plan N has a little bit of copay, but that is a very small amount of cost sharing that the member has to do to share in that risk of your medical claims. Like, for example, I'm not on Medicare. I have an individual family plan, and my deductible is $5,000 per year, and I pay over $1,200 a month. So I have to pay the first $5,000 of any medical care before I get coverage, and I pay $1,200 a month. That's absurd. I've been in the health insurance space for over 20 years, and the way that you combat higher premiums to begin with and or premium increases is to give the member more share of the claim paying process. Okay, with standard plan G and plan N, that claim sharing with the Part B deductible and the plan N copays is still very, very small participation in the claim paying process. So when you're out there new to Medicare and you're on Reddit, for example, and everybody's giving you all of this advice of find a company that doesn't close their block of business because that means you're locked into premium hell, is what a lot of these posters are saying. Or look at the rate history, or try to figure out what the rate increase history has been, or how long they've been in business, or how big their block is. Do they close it? Like, none of these things matter. The internet and Reddit and certain agents may have convinced you to figure out how to determine which company is going to close a block of business or look at rate increases. None of that matters. We are talking about 20 to 40% rate increases in this year, and you could have done all of that research. It's a crapshoot. It doesn't matter. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota just came out and posted a $353 million loss in revenue, that they're negative. So this is happening everywhere. So the biggest way that you're going to combat premium increases is not by picking the right company, is not by checking rate increase history, and it's not by this whole closing a block of business or not, because everybody does that. You can't get around it. The key to lower premiums and longevity is high deductible plan G, okay? And it's not because it just on paper it says, standard plan G is, $170 a month and high deductible plan G is $60, okay? There's more to it than that, why that premium is so much lower. And the number one reason is your care on the high deductible plan G. The high deductible plan G will not start paying your claims until you plus Medicare have you've exceeded that $2,950 amount out of your own pocket. So a big area that people get confused in high deductible plan G is that when they see that deductible of $2,950, they automatically think that when they get on the high deductible plan G, they have to pay the first $2,950 before anybody pays anything. And that is not true. The beauty of high deductible plan G is that your traditional Medicare A and B is in place and working from day one. Okay, and I'll give you an example. On Part B, you have your Part B deductible. So that's outpatient things like, without getting in the weeds, that's like doctor visits, outpatient testing, things like that. So your basic everyday things. You pay your Medicare Part B deductible still, which comes off of the high deductible amount. Once you pay that Part B deductible, Medicare is still going to pay their percentage. So you're still going to have that 80-20 rule in there after your Medicare Part B, and that's before the high deductible G comes into the picture. So think about it like this. You have original Medicare A and B coverage only until you reach that $2,950 deductible. So you have the traditional Medicare structure in place, which is phenomenal, which is excellent coverage. The main problem with original Medicare A and B only is there's no cap on how much you could pay. If you have original Medicare only, there's no limit to your financial exposure. So when you add the high deductible plan G, that basically says, okay, I'm willing to share in the cost for the first $2,950 in exchange for a lower premium. So if you look at the historical rate increases on high deductible plan G, they don't even come close to the standard plan G and plan N. And it's because people have more skin in the game and they are participating in the traditional Medicare 80/20 process before that high deductible G comes into the picture. Standard Plan G, day one after you meet that deductible, they're paying for everything. So that is a rich, comprehensive benefit from day one, which comes at a premium, a high premium. So my greatest advice to you is take your Plan G, if you're brand new to Medicare, gather a few quotes from reputable companies that have been in business for 5 years or more, weed out the newcomers and the small companies that may or may not be around, like we saw Ace and Allstate leave the market last year. Pick a few companies, find the lowest rate for a standard Plan G. Let's say, just for round numbers, let's say it's $200 a month. That's $2,400 for the year in premium. Okay, write that down. Take your high deductible Plan G. Let's say that is, for simple purposes, let's say that's, let's just say it's $100 a month. I'm rounding up both example. Let's say it's $100. So that's $1,200 a year in premium. So you're now 50% lower in premium. And oh, by the way, you still have your 80/20 mechanism structure in place right away, and you have the catastrophic umbrella of the high deductible Plan G. So for most people who are just going to the doctor 3 or 4 times a year, you maybe get a test or two, you'll never hit that deductible because your original Medicare is in place with the allowable amount. So if you're getting medical bills, you go to the doctor, it's $200. Well, that provider has to agree to the Medicare allowable amount. So if that provider is under contract with original Medicare, they can bill $200, but original Medicare may say, we'll only reimburse you $75. Okay. So now that bill is $75. You pay your 20% of that. So you're going to be paying small percentages of all your medical bills until you reach that deductible. But in a perfect world, the reality is the way the high deductible Plan G works is it's incredible. I mean, it's a phenomenal plan for $70 to $80 a month. So the fact that this high deductible is out there, hiding in plain sight from everybody. So I highly recommend, my advice is, if you're new to Medicare, put the numbers on paper side by side. And I promise you, every single time that high deductible Plan G is going to win, because people will argue, well, I don't want to pay that deductible. I just want a plan that pays from the beginning. Fine, you can, but that Plan G premium is going to climb no matter which company you get. And it's going to outweigh the premium and deductible on that high deductible Plan G in almost every situation. I highly recommend, to combat premiums, you must share more in the medical claims paying process than you are right now. All of this Reddit information of how to pick a plan, how to pick a company, they are all dead-end roads that neither you or I know the answer to in terms of future rate increases, blocks of business being closed, who's more competitive, who has historical rate increases, who doesn't. You have to take action and say, I can't change anything about that. What I can do is understand my total cost for Plan G and high deductible Plan G over a year, and then you have to decide which category you fall into from a state of being comfortable. But I assure you, the historical rate increases on high deductible Plan G have been around 3 to 5%. Even in all of this rocky chaos, they still have been very moderate, 6 or 7%. And oh, by the way, you're talking about 6 or 7% of a much smaller number. Okay, so even if you have a 10% increase on a $100 high deductible G, that's only $10. Okay, so those rate increases are working on a much smaller premium to begin with. So this is the way of the future. Medicare supplements have to change. The standard Plan G and Plan N right now are not sustainable. They will be this way probably for a few more years. And the beauty of high deductible Plan G, in addition to all I've mentioned, is if you go a year or two and use it minimally, that's a significant savings in premium, whereas with the standard Plan G, you're going to pay that premium whether you use it or not. You are spending when you use it. Standard Plan G is you're spending no matter what. Don't get me wrong, I love all Medicare supplements equally, but to combat cost, look at high deductible Plan G. I hope this has been helpful. Comment below. Give us a call if you want to do a needs analysis. We'll basically gather your info. Where are you located? What's your Medicare status? All that good stuff. Do a quote analysis for the 3 plans, explain to you how it works, let you decide, and then you move on from that point. Thanks for watching.